Hello, class, and welcome to our uh, video lecture on how to get sources for extended definition essay number 3. And as I've said before, why not start? And the advice in the book, in the directions in step 1 and step 2, they suggest starting with the definition of your term. So why not start with the definition of your term? You can either begin with dictionary.com, you can use the Google definitions. And when you think about the ladder of specificity, right, the Google definitions are kind of basic. And then the dictionary.com definitions are a little bit more descriptive. And then perhaps the best definition website to use, as suggested in step 2 on pages 117 to 118 in our book, is the Oxford English Dictionary. So in addition to using the Literature Resource Center from the MESA database, right, and when you click on that, right, remember I went library, articles and databases, I skipped down to L for Literature Resource Center. You can use any of the databases for literature, but I personally find that one to be the best, right? I then L for Literature Resource Center. I click on it, it takes you to the Literature Resource Center. And just as with essays 1 and 2, start by typing in your author's name. Then hopefully you can limit the search to title. And then you can limit the search by adding your issue if you're writing about addiction or identity. If you type in William Shakespeare, you should pretty much get articles that relate to almost any one of those sources. If you type in Shakespeare and identity, Shakespeare and addiction, both, right? Both the term, the issue, and the author's name. And then if you can even get lucky and limit it by the work title as well, Shakespeare and identity, and then on the right-hand side, you click on and maybe there's Macbeth or there's Hamlet. So again, you can get secondary sources on your author and your source, or on your author, your source, and your issue, or any of those separately. If you just want to get a source on a psychological addiction and apply it to your analysis, that's fine. Again, when you synthesize your evaluation of the sources with the analysis of the text and you compose, you're fulfilling your course learning outcomes. So again, just as for essay 1, you might have had a source on something to do with oppression, and it might not have necessarily mentioned the story of an hour, but you could evaluate that source and synthesize, right, your evaluation with your analysis of the text to make a point about oppression, to make a point about your issue. Remember, your issue is now essentially, or issues, the themes that you're writing about. So you've got the MESA database. Not only do you have the Literature Resource Center, but if you go to O, you have the Oxford English Dictionary. And this is an extremely comprehensive dictionary that I think everyone should find helpful. I would strongly suggest using the dictionary definitions from the Oxford English Dictionary as a starting point. And you might very well put that definition in your intro paragraph as well. When you cite the definition, cite it by the title of the word, because that's the web page. If I type in identity, right, the title of the source is identity, in quotes, right, from the Oxford English Dictionary, which would be in italics because that's your website. And again, remember, when you're citing definitions, you can use DEF period as a abbreviation for the definition. So it'd be identity definition 1A, identity DEF 1A. So you can use the Oxford English Dictionary, you can use the Literature Resource Center, great places to go for secondary sources, right? Back to the database. And the last place that I wanted to bring up that you could use for secondary sources, as listed in the prompt, is criticalthinking.org. And you may say, oh, so I can get articles on critical thinking and incorporate those into my analysis of the text. I can get articles on the decision-making process that characters make to better understand identity or addiction. Absolutely. When characters make illogical decisions and tragedy results or negative things happen, it's usually the result of their decision-making process. Philosophical counseling, as I spoke about in the past on page 60, is a great idea to bring up in your essays if you're looking at the decision-making process of the characters to better understand maturity, identity, progress, addiction. So that being said, where do you begin? Well, why not click begin here, college and university students, right? And you have a bunch of different articles to choose from on the first page. You've got articles over there. My suggestion is that you pick any one of these to start with. And probably the best one would be distinguishing between inferences and assumptions, because we've been discussing hidden assumptions and how an inference needs factual proof. It needs facts, premises to support the conclusion. Avoid those hidden assumptions. And when characters give in to those hidden assumptions because they might want something to be true, and they use that emotional appeal illogically, right? Usually negative things result. So when you click on distinguishing between inferences and assumptions, in addition to this being a possible source, right? Sorry about that. You have all these other possible articles to focus on, the analysis and an assessment of thinking. If you're analyzing the characters' thinking, their behaviors, right? As one would do in a psychological criticism, distinguishing between inert information, activated ignorance, and activated knowledge is yet another possible source that you might find helpful when analyzing the decision-making process of characters. But again, I think it all starts with distinguishing between inferences and assumptions, right? And you've got quite a few documents to focus on here when you click on begin here, right? And then you go to college and university students, and then right in the middle, any one of these will take you to an interesting article, but I suggest distinguishing between inferences and assumptions, and then you have all these links here. I hope this was helpful. As always, please let me know if you have any questions, and write with confidence. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.